Picture this, you've spent 2 days at an important conference. Dozens of presentations, countless ideas shared, breakthrough moments scattered throughout. But when you get back to the office, what do you remember? Maybe a few bullet points from someone's PowerPoint, maybe a quote that stuck with you. But what if I told you there was a way to capture not just the information from your events, but the energy, the connections, the very essence of collaborative thinking? What if you could make complex ideas instantly understandable and unforgettable? Well, that's the power of scribing. So what exactly is scribing? Well, let me introduce you to my good friend James Baylay, a visual practitioner and scribe with over 20 years of experience. Here's how he explains it.
For me, scribing it's simply listening very carefully to a conversation or information that is live in some sense. So it could be a Twitter feed, and big conferences, it is often a mix of different kind of formats, but it's some kind of flow of information, usually a conversation or presentation, and your job as the scribe is to listen carefully and then recreate it in two-dimensional form as an illustration and a mind map. So yeah, something which captures the narrative structure and the most salient points in the most memorable way you can, using words and pictures.
You know, there's a lot of work we do thinking about the policy, the strategy around these things, but actually being able to really clearly communicate and visualize where we're trying to get to and bring people together around that. And I think the sketches and how they kind of really articulate that really just give us another way of communicating with people that we can't do through some of the mechanisms that we have already.
Well, let's put that all a bit more formally. It's essentially mind mapping, but instead of recreating the flow of a conversation through time, you do it through space. You have this two-handed approach where you're constantly moving between images and language. Each has their own set of rules, creating an interplay without losing the flow of the conversation. In essence, it's very simple, but to balance all those elements successfully in real time, well, that's the hard bit. And it is hard because it's a tall order for the brain. You're time constrained, having to record things and extract information and represent that information whilst at the same time recording what's happening. It's quite a lot for the brain really, but that's exactly why it's so powerful. James explains the immediate impact.
I think the point of it is, during live events, is to help people remember what's just been said, to help people understand, the flow of the conversation as it happens, to perhaps pick up on things they've missed out on, perhaps to see things differently, because you're somebody who's usually not a content specialist. So it's important, your role as an outsider is actually important to reflect back to the audience how you see the conversation.
The presenters are giving so much information out, it's difficult to actually keep up with what's going on, even though I'm in that pharmacy sphere. So I turn around and on a blank sheet of paper there's an infographic of what's been happening and lovely drawings of the presentation itself, which is an amazing skill to have, because I have found it difficult to actually keep up, but they've captured it. They captured the essence of what's happening.
So here's something that might surprise you. I once worked with a group of Lacanian philosophers at the London School of Economics. I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. Beads of sweat were on my head because I was completely lost. I was just making stuff up, just drawing it. But here's what happened. It worked like a charm. One of the psychologists came up to me afterwards and said, "I don't know how you captured that brilliantly. It's all amazing." And I'm thinking, I have no idea what any of that means. But that's the magic. The pictures became bridges to meaning. So what skills do you actually need? James reveals what really matters.
What you don't need necessarily is to be able to draw brilliantly. You just have to draw effectively. Can you pick out the important points to the conversation? So I think the most important thing is that you can listen in a nuanced way to information and that you can organise the information in a way that makes it clear.
So what James and I discovered early on in our scribing careers was if we didn't use our imaginations, if we didn't bring that creative thinking from our art backgrounds, then why were we there? The visual thinking, the metaphors, the creative interpretation, that's what brings real value. And the business benefits are game-changing. Scribing transforms problem solving into a visual process. It creates transparency where everyone can see what's being said. It shifts focus from personality to ideas. When thoughts become neutral visual property of the group, people stop defending their contributions and start building on them. And that's when creativity explodes. When previous ideas are visually present, new concepts naturally piggyback on them. What you're doing is you're building on a foundation of visible thinking. Think about your last PowerPoint-heavy meeting. How much do you really remember? Now, imagine if every key insight, every breakthrough moment, every connection was captured in a rich visual story that your team could reference, share and build upon long after the event has ended.
I think we can all get a little bit bored of PowerPoints and some of the more traditional modes of capturing information and disseminating. So we thought that text perhaps wasn't the only way to do it. So having a visual scribe illustrating that seemed to be a great addition to the day.
It helps people connect, it helps you kind of resonate, it helps groups of individuals come together around common purpose. It's really just a playful way of, kind of really having a conversation with people when actually, in the past, you might not have had the ways to do that.
We can see an even bigger potential for this ancient practice. The language of scribing has huge potential because it's something that's always been done. The Egyptians did it, cavemen did it before them, and it's got huge potential in schools today because it's got this multimodal quality. This is where multiple streams of information are actually better for learning. So in today's world of overwhelming information and forgettable presentation, scribing creates experiences that stick. It transforms your events into stories worth remembering and ideas worth acting on. So here's the question, right? It isn't whether you can afford to add scribing to your next event. The question is, can you afford not to? Because when complex ideas become clear, when participation becomes natural, and when creativity becomes contagious, that's when real business transformation happens. So why not drop us a line and see how we can make your next event unforgettable? We can make it visual and make it really matter.
I'm all for something visual. I think everybody needs a bit of creativity, and it's been an absolute delight. And of course, we would use you again.